Hello, the amazing D365 community. Mabuhay. This is Danica May Makatangay, your Miss Dynamic Millennial. From our previous Neophyte series blog regarding account structure, where we present different means of designing our account structure, and one of which is through selecting the relationship or setup of the organization hierarchy and making it as the segments and values allowed in the account structure. And from that, one of our the amazing subscribers posted a question and wanted to know the difference between having the organization hierarchy in the account structure and derived dimensions setup. But before we deal with the difference of these two, the advantages, disadvantages of using this too, and where it is most applicable to be used. Let us discuss first what is a derived dimensions, and on our next blog, we'll talk about the difference between having organization hierarchy in the account structure and the derived dimensions setup. Sounds like a plan, right? So let's get going. Okay. Derived dimensions is a configuration in D365 wherein the predefined financial dimension value combinations will automatically be displayed or defaulted whenever we use the main dimension value in a transaction. So how do we do that? We navigate our navigation pane in D365. We select modules, general ledger, chart of accounts, dimensions, then financial dimensions. And now since we have already our financial dimensions maintained in the system and each financial dimension already have its dimension values in it, so we can start already with defining, setting up our derived dimensions. First and foremost, what do we consider when we design our derived dimension? What I normally do is I look onto the ledger form and take into consideration the account structures that are linked to the ledger form of that specific legal entity or of all the legal entities. So here in the USMF legal entity, we have linked the account structure, manufacturing BS, and manufacturing PNL. If I go to the manufacturing PNL, I can see that the segments are designed as to business unit, department, cost center, and item group. Now, the second question is, how should I know which dimension should be my driving dimension? Meaning it will be your main derived dimension or the parent of your derived dimension. What I do as well is that I check on the segments whether it has duplicates or not. And the segment that does not have much duplicate, that's where I start. Before we go onto the perfect path or on a smooth path, I wanted to show to you why I consider the financial dimension that does not have much duplicates in it as the driving dimension. If I go to cost center and if I click on the derived dimensions, I design my derived dimension using or having cost center as my driving dimension. If I click on my cost center and select 007 and leave the department and the business unit as blank, I can do that. Depends as well, of course, on the design on our account structure. And if I click on new, I select again on 7. I select department 22 and a blank value, or let's say any this value for business unit. And if I hit on save button, we can receive or we are to receive an error message saying that this cost center that you entered is already a driving dimension of the previous one or of one of your derived dimensions combination. So please select a different cost center or a different driving dimension. So that's the reason why I normally see or check first which ones of the financial dimension does not have much duplicate. So let us say that the business unit is the one that does not have much duplicates in it, that is needing a derived dimension or default financial dimension values. Now, the first, of course, that will be in this form would be our driving dimension, which is the business unit, because this is the financial dimension that we selected where we are to design, create our combinations of derived dimensions. And similarly with the account structure setup, we also have our segment actions and also the ability of adding a segment in the derived dimensions. So in our account structure, our setup is business unit, department, cost center, item group. So let's say that the business requirement is just saying that I put in a derived dimension for business unit, department, and cost center. I add those two segments. Now I enter my business unit, my department, and my cost center. And I also add a new one in this case. Okay. And I could also add another one with, let's say, a blank department and this cost center. Okay. Now, if you would going to ask me, do we need to just manually maintain that? Of course, there is a way for us to import that in D365. One is the use of the data management framework, and the other one is, of course, our user-friendly workbook of Open in Excel, which is this one, derived dimensions values. Okay. Now, let's try to use this in a transaction, and let's see if the setup we already have is a good one or needing still a enhancement or needing still a different setup based on the requirement of our client. Okay, let's just make a very simple general journal. Okay. Now see, notice that after I enter 001, automatically the combination 002, 022, and 008 for department and cost center respectively already displayed automatically in our journal line, in the account field of our journal line. Okay, now you might going to ask, uh, is there a way or is this combination that we entered here, is it or it can it be overridden or not? Well, it depends again on the setup of the parameter that we put in on our derived dimensions. C. Let's take as an instance this one. I click on save, nothing happened. The system did not throw any error because I freely designed my derived dimension that you just need to default it D365 and whatever changes is in there, I will accept it or this you should accept it D365. But what if the requirement is that I the user or the client does not want that the department segment to be changed. So we just simply click on select the department, okay, the segment department, segment actions, and then click on prevent changes or prevent department to be changed. Now, since we prevent that to be changed, now it is saying that allow department value changes. Now, let's see. I said that the department should not be allowed to be changed. Okay, let's try changing our department. Let's see if without making a new one will make that change to take effect for us. I am going to change my department to 024. And if I hit on save, okay, let me see a different one. 022. Okay. I think it's better that we prevent the change not on the department, but on our cost center. Because if we base on the account structure setup that we have, it is saying that the department is too limiting. But the cost center, it is allowing a blank value and this each of this value. So let's try to prevent a change on our cost center. Okay. Now let's go back onto our journal. Our department based on here is 22 and the cost center, it says it should be 008. Let's click on the new line. Let's try to see if the change we've put in here would already be in effect. 001, 022, 008. Let's try to make use of a different cost center that is valid into this combination as well. You can save now. Notice that it is saying that the cost center dimension with value 007 is not allowed due to derived dimension rules. The allowed value should be 008. So now, if our derived dimension value here should already be fixed given as to this structure of the business unit, department, and cost center, now we just need to prevent the changes to happen onto that specific segment or onto all the specific onto all the segments that we have on our derived dimensions. Okay, so that is how we set up our derived dimensions, and that is how we also make use of our derived dimensions. And let's do a quick recap. As a quick recap, first, what do we need to consider when planning for the setup of our derived dimension? Of course, our account structure, the account structures that are linked to our ledger form. And we also need to consider what is the driving dimension that we need to use, because the driving dimension or the D365 is not allowing a duplicate driving dimension. And of course, we need to consider if the client wants that to be changed, or the segment or the driving dimension segments, the drive dimension segments that we have, the driving dimension up to its derived dimension combination, would the client want to have that be changed, or the client want a prevention of that change to happen? Okay, so that is all, my amazing D365 community, for our discussion for today regarding the derived dimension. And on our next topic, let's try to compare the organization hierarchy versus our derived dimension. Once again, thank you and God bless us all. Bye bye.